The city pulsed with a mechanical heart. Giant gears spun, driving colossal machines. Steam hissed from towering factories, clouding the sky with thick smoke. 1,000 workshops clanged with the sounds of hammers and metal. Towers of iron and glass pierced the sky, casting long shadows across the crowded streets. Steam-powered trams clanged through the maze of buildings, their bells echoing off the cobblestone streets. Amidst this symphony of metal and steam, life thrived. Kai, a 15-year-old orphan with a mop of messy brown hair and eyes that shone with an unquenchable thirst for knowledge, navigated the crowded streets with practiced ease. He found solace and purpose within the grease-stained walls of a bustling workshop, his days spent amidst the rhythmic clang of hammers and the comforting hiss of steam. As an apprentice mechanic, he eagerly absorbed the secrets of gears and pistons, his mind constantly seeking to understand the intricate workings of the machines that surrounded him. In the quiet solitude of his tiny attic room, surrounded by gears, springs and scraps of metal, he gave life to his own inventions. He dreamed of a day when his inventions would not just repair the city, but revolutionize it. The workshop buzzed with activity. Sparks showered the floor as Kai expertly wielded his welding torch, his brow furrowed in concentration. Master Olken, a burly man with a thick beard and a heart of gold, barked orders over the din, his voice gruff but kind. Lost in the rhythm of his work, Kai allowed his mind to wander, his fingers moving instinctively as he envisioned his latest creation. It was to be a mechanical marvel, a clockwork contraption unlike any the city had ever seen. He knew in his heart that he was destined for more than just repairing broken machines. As the day wore on and the sun began its slow descent, casting long shadows across the workshop floor, Kai noticed an unsettling presence lurking at the edge of his awareness. A group of figures, shrouded in dark cloaks and moving with an unnatural stillness, had gathered across the street, their gazes fixed on the workshop. Emerging from the workshop into the fading light, Kai felt a sudden chill despite the warmth of the fading summer day. The streets, usually bustling with activity at this hour, seemed strangely deserted, the air thick with an unsettling stillness. He quickened his pace, his senses on high alert as he navigated the maze of cobblestone streets. Rounding a corner, he collided with a figure hidden in the shadows. As Kai's eyes adjusted to the darkness, he realized that the figure was a girl, no older than himself. Fear gnawed at Kai's insides. He stared at the gang surrounding them, their mechanical armor gleaming under the dim streetlights. They called themselves the Gear Reapers. Whispered rumors claimed they were more machine than human, driven by a hunger for power and a lust for chaos. "What do you want?" Kai's voice, though laced with fear, held a surprising note of defiance. The tallest of the Reapers, his voice a grating metallic rasp, pointed a menacing claw at the girl. "The pendant, girl! Hand it over and we might let you live!" The girl, Luna, clutched the clockwork pendant hanging from her neck. "Never! The Chrono Core will never be yours!" "The Chrono Core?" Kai whispered, his curiosity momentarily overriding his fear. "It's a timekeeper," she explained, her voice barely a whisper. "It holds the power to control time itself." Kai's eyes widened. Time control. The very idea seemed impossible, the stuff of legends and fairy tales. A metallic screech ripped through the night as one of the Reapers lunged. Instinct took over. Kai grabbed Luna's hand, yanking her into the labyrinthine alleys, their pursuers hot on their heels. "This way!" he shouted, his voice echoing off the brick walls as he weaved through the maze of narrow passages. They were outnumbered, outmatched, and out of time. He spotted a fire escape ladder, rusted but sturdy, leading to the rooftops. "Up there!" he yelled, pulling Luna towards the ladder. "Hold on tight!" Kai shouted, grabbing a nearby grappling hook, a prototype still untested, and firing it across the alleyway. The hook latched onto a chimney with a satisfying clang. He secured the other end to a sturdy railing and pulled, testing its strength. Luna's eyes widened. "What are you doing?" she asked, her voice filled with a mix of curiosity and fear. "We're taking a shortcut," he said, a mischievous grin spreading across his face despite the danger. He took a deep breath and leapt, pulling Luna along with him. They swung across the alleyway, the wind whipping through their hair, the ground a dizzying drop below. Kai stared in awe at the frozen tableau around them. Time itself had ground to a halt. They were standing in a bubble of stillness, the chaos of the chase suspended, the relentless pursuit momentarily forgotten. But Luna's pale face and laboured breathing were a stark reminder that this reprieve wouldn't last. He looked at Luna, really looked at her, seeing beyond the fear and exhaustion to the strength and determination in her eyes. "Don't worry," he said, his voice firm, despite the tremor in his chest. "I have an idea. Time, a precious fleeting thing. Even frozen, it pressed upon them, a suffocating blanket of anticipation. Luna's breath hitched in ragged gasps, her grip on the Chrono Core white-knuckled. "How long?" Kai asked, his voice barely a whisper. "Not long," Luna breathed, her voice thin and reedy. Section 2, Sanctuary of Silence. Kai scooped up his contraption, wires trailing like errant thoughts. He grabbed Luna's hand, pulling her along. They sprinted across the rooftop, the city spread out beneath them like a giant, intricate puzzle box. They scrambled down a fire escape, metal groaning in protest, their pursuers close behind. The metallic clang of their footsteps echoed in the narrow alleyway, a death knell in the stillness. Kai's eyes darted from side to side, searching for an escape route, a moment of respite in the concrete jungle. He spotted a dimly lit doorway, partially obscured by a tangle of wires and steam pipes. "In there!" he hissed, pulling Luna towards the doorway. They slipped inside, the door groaning shut behind them. The room was small, cramped, filled with the musty scent of old paper and forgotten machinery. Cobwebs hung from the ceiling like macabre decorations, and dust motes danced in the faint light filtering through a grimy skylight. It was a forgotten corner of the city, a haven from the relentless pursuit. Luna leaned against the wall, her chest heaving. "We can't hide forever," she whispered, her voice hoarse. He knew she was right. The Gear Reapers wouldn't give up. Not while the Chrono Core was within their grasp. They needed a plan, a way to outsmart their pursuers and escape the city's iron grip. Section 3, Whispers in the Walls. "What is this place?" Luna asked, her voice barely audible above the steady hiss of steam escaping from a nearby pipe. Kai scanned the room, his eyes adjusting to the gloom. He spotted a faded sign, its lettering barely visible beneath layers of dust and grime. "Horological Archives, a library of sorts," he said, brushing his hand against a dusty shelf. It was crammed with ancient tomes, their leather covers cracked and faded. But not just any library. This place, it holds the city's secrets, the blueprints, the schematics, the history of every clockwork contraption ever built. He traced his fingers over a faded diagram on the wall, depicting a complex network of gears and pipes, the city's intricate clockwork heart laid bare. He could almost hear the whispers of forgotten inventors, the echoes of their genius resonating through the ages. A thought sparked in his mind, a crazy, desperate gamble. If he could decipher the city's mechanisms, understand the flow of its energy, maybe, just maybe, he could use that knowledge against the Gear Reapers. "We can use this place," he said, his voice filled with a newfound determination. "The city, it's like one giant machine, and I think I know how to use it against them." Luna looked at him, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and hope. "What are you suggesting?" He smiled, a mischievous glint in his eye. "We're going to fight gears with gears, clockwork with clockwork." Time, even frozen, had a way of slipping through one's fingers. Luna sagged against a dusty shelf, the effort of maintaining the time freeze taking its toll. Her breaths came in shallow gasps, her face ashen. "Kai, I can't hold it much longer." He glanced up from the diagram he had been studying, his brow furrowed in concentration. The city's clockwork heart was a puzzle, intricate and daunting, but he was beginning to see the patterns, the interconnectedness of it all. "Just a little longer," he pleaded, his voice tight with urgency. He traced a line on the diagram with his finger, connecting a network of pipes that snaked through the city like arteries, carrying not blood but steam, the lifeblood of their world. He spotted it then, a nexus point, where several major pipelines converged beneath the city's central clock tower. If he could disrupt the flow of steam at that point, create a pressure surge, "Luna," he said, his voice firm, resolute, "I need you to release the time freeze, but not completely. I need you to slow it down just for a few seconds. Can you do that?" She looked at him, her eyes filled with doubt, but also with a flicker of trust that warmed him despite the dire circumstances. I can try." He grabbed his makeshift time disruptor, the device buzzing faintly in his hand. It was a long shot, a desperate gamble, but it was their only chance. The city held its breath, its mechanical heart thrumming with a power that both terrified and exhilarated him. The game was afoot, a high-stakes race against time in a city that never stood still. The clock tower loomed above, a menacing iron giant against the twilight sky. Its gears, now grinding back to their relentless rhythm, seemed to mock their predicament. The Gear Reapers had cornered them, their mechanical forms casting long shadows across the rooftop. Kai's heart hammered against his ribs, a frantic drumbeat against the symphony of the city. He could feel the time stream solidifying around them, Luna's control waning with every passing breath. "It's time," he said, his voice strained but resolute. He handed Luna the time disruptor, their fingers brushing in a fleeting moment of connection. "When I give the signal, slow time just long enough for me to activate this. It should disrupt the steam flow, at least for a while." Luna nodded, her silver hair whipping around her face as a gust of wind swept across the rooftop. Her eyes, usually bright with life, were clouded with fatigue, but her grip on the device was firm. She understood the stakes. The Gear Reapers closed in, their metal claws scraping against the stone, their movements a grotesque parody of human grace. The tallest of the group, his voice a grating rasp, let out a triumphant cackle. "The Chrono Core will be ours, girl, and then we shall control time itself." Kai felt a surge of anger, a primal instinct to protect, to fight back against the mechanical menace that threatened to engulf them. He might not have Luna's control over time, but he had his wits, his courage, and his unwavering belief in the power of invention. He scanned the rooftop, his eyes searching for any advantage, any weakness in their mechanical armor. His gaze fell on the clock tower's main gear system, a behemoth of iron and steel, exposed and vulnerable. "Luna, now!" he shouted, his voice barely audible above the grinding of gears and the hiss of escaping steam. The world lurched, time stuttering like a broken metronome. The Gear Reapers froze mid-stride, their metallic eyes wide with surprise, their movements suspended in a tableau of impending violence. Kai didn't hesitate. He launched himself towards the gear system, his movements fluid, almost leisurely in the slowed time stream. He had practiced this maneuver 1,000 times in his mind, his body moving with an instinctive grace that surprised even him. He whipped out his grappling hook, firing it towards the massive gears. The hook caught with a resounding clang, the rope taut as a steel cable. He pulled, putting his entire weight into it. The gears shuddered, their relentless rotation momentarily disrupted. The Gear Reapers, once formidable in their synchronized menace, were now nothing more than scrap metal scattered across the clock tower's shattered floor. The air, thick with the scent of ozone and burnt oil, slowly began to clear, revealing the devastation wrought in the heart of the city's mechanical cathedral. Luna, leaning heavily against a toppled gear, her face pale with exhaustion, watched as Kai surveyed the wreckage. The Chrono Core, no longer pulsing with its previous intensity, hung quiet and heavy around her neck. The weight of what they had done, what they had prevented, settled upon them both. "It's over," Luna whispered, her voice hoarse. "They're gone." Kai nodded, a bittersweet victory heavy in his heart. The city was safe for now, but the experience had changed him, forged within him a new understanding of the world and his place in it. He had faced down his fears, pushed his ingenuity to its limits, and discovered a courage he never knew he possessed. "It's never really over, is it?" he murmured, his gaze sweeping across the sprawling cityscape, now bathed in the soft hues of the approaching dawn. "There will always be someone who wants to control, to exploit, to disrupt the balance." He turned to Luna, his expression softening. "You can't stay, can you?" She shook her head, a sad smile gracing her lips. "The Chrono Core? It's too dangerous to keep in one place too long. I have to go. Keep it moving. Make sure it never falls into the wrong hands again."